people. I'm Karen Shamas.
A man who gave his son the gun he used in a deadly high school shooting in Georgia has been sentenced to 15 years in prison. Colin Gray was convicted of charges including second-degree murder. A recovery day on Wall Street as the Dow was up by 613 points. The Nasdaq rose by 679. The S&P 500 advancing by 121. More on these stories at townhall.com.
If you owe the IRS back taxes, you need the best team on your side. Priority Tax Relief has helped thousands of Americans resolve their IRS problems and settle for pennies on the dollar. As a leading tax resolution firm, we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, hundreds of 5-star reviews, and a 4.9-star rating on Google because we deliver results and huge savings. If you owe $5,000 or more and even facing wage garnishment, liens, levies, audits, or IRS letters, call us today at 800-741-5015. Once you call, our tax professionals will call the IRS with you for free, and within minutes start negotiating a settlement. We'll put a stop to collections and fight to get you the best settlement possible. Choose the company Americans trust most. Call Priority Tax Relief now at 800-741-5015 to see what relief you qualify for. Don't wait. Make the call. Dial 800-741-5015. Once again, that's 800-741-5015.
A Montana hiker who became impaled by his trekking pole near the top of the state's highest peak tells his story. More from correspondent Donna Warder reporting.
David Cifaldi and his two hiking companions were crossing Montana's froze-to-death plateau July 20th when Cifaldi slipped and became impaled by his trekking pole.
I remember rolling over and this kind of realization of like, something's not right here. Realized I had this trekking pole stuck in my side.
Cifaldi, a 32-year-old wound care nurse, was concerned about the cost of a rescue helicopter, so
I was able to kind of talk to my friends a little bit and get everybody on the same page that we were going to make the decision to hike out. It took us 6.5 hours.
The pole missed any vital organs. I'm Donna Warder.
News and analysis at townhall.com. From Washington, I'm Keith Peters reporting.
From the KSEV Weather Center, tonight the skies will gradually clear and it will be humid with a low of 79. Tomorrow will bring a mix of sun and clouds, resulting in very warm temperatures with a high of 98. Tomorrow night, expect mainly clear skies and continued humidity with a low of 79. As we head into Saturday, the day will be very warm with intervals of sunshine and clouds and a high of 97. With the KSEV Weather Center forecast, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina.
This program is brought to you in part by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals.
Call 281-441-4179.
Hey, this is Dan Pastorini. Tune into the Press Box with Russell Sherrill here on The Voice of Texas.
Now get a full hour of the Press Box. Weekday mornings now 6 to 7 a.m. here on AM 700 KSEV, The Voice of Texas.
Be a Planner show host Nathan Ross wants to remind you, please consider all the syndication terms of your private real estate partnership. By understanding the syndication math, Nathan can help you assess the benefits of ownership. Visit beaplanner.com or tune in each Sunday at 7 a.m. for the Be a Planner show with Nathan Ross, CPA on KSEV.
Thank goodness our weather experts are providing us with hurricane tracking charts and reminding us to be prepared for big storms. But they overlook one very important thing, the damage and destruction from broken limbs and uprooted trees. Call Louis Flory at Ability Tree Experts today, my friend for nearly 40 years, at 281-441-4179, and let him explain how this problem can be minimized with professional pruning. You see, when the tree canopy is too thick and dense, the tree can be completely blown over and tree limbs broken, causing terrible damage to the tree and maybe your home. Where tree limbs break, sap will ooze, and that attracts harmful insects. So you need to call Louis Flory today at 281-441-4179 and have his experts come out and professionally prune your trees to withstand sudden storms that are so frequent this time of year. Visit their website at abilitytrees.com. That's 281-441-4179. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
5, 4, 3, 2,
It's ChrisX Radio.
ChrisX Radio.
What we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country. This message must be read in every newspaper, heard on every radio, seen on every television. This message must resound throughout the entire interlink.
And now, your host.
I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
ChrisX.
Man, is it that time again already? It is. It really is. Good afternoon and welcome to ChrisX Radio. It is our Friday show on Thursday. I'm the aforementioned X-Man. Glad to have you here with us on our Friday show on Thursday. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. It's what we do each Friday here on The Voice of Texas. I say Friday because the Amigos take over tomorrow from 4 to 6. So we do our Friday show today. We have the ability to manipulate the time-space continuum. Sometimes it gets out of hand, but we try to keep things within hand here on our Friday show on Thursday. As always, we bring you that gift beyond price that is almost free, ladies and gentlemen. We bring you the spirit of talk radio. Oh, yeah, that means we're going to have a little fun today. Oh, my God. I've got so much information to cover, but as always, we definitely take your calls, and we'll talk about whatever is on your mind today. Imagine more than a few people are going to want to continue to talk about Dr. Fauci. Oh, man. I love the fact that the guy is forever going to be known as a joke now. Hey, don't go Fauci on me, okay? I don't want you getting all Fauci'd. Don't you go Fauciing on me. Nonetheless, it is our Friday show on Thursday. All right, let's rock out to one of the tunes our producer Lucas really loves. There we go. This is the part of the song that he loves the most. He lives for this part. And he says he's always getting down on Friday, too. He's always partying. Yeah! All right, but I couldn't do this whole song. There's no way. So I had to move it over to Leo Morciolo's version. Oh, yeah, here's my part. Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Friday, getting down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend. Partying, yeah. Partying, yeah. Fun. Looking forward to the weekend. Okay, so what I've learned is, once again, these are YouTube songs. But they have been non-monetized like in Belarus. So I'm not going to make a lot of money in Belarus or Russia or the entire world. But I get to jam out to Leo Morciolo, who can be found at Frog Leap Studios on the YouTubes. There you go. His version of the song is a lot better, at least in my opinion. I like it a lot better. All right, so what's going on today? There's a lot going on today. Like I said, if you want to join us, we'll talk about whatever is on your mind today. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. So Spain got invaded by a bunch of illegals today. After their Supreme Court ruled police can't stop them if they're entering by sea. So guess what happened? I know, it makes no sense, right? How in the world did a bunch of illegals come in by sea today and just flooded the nation? Okay, so Spain is pretty much done. We'll see. These idiot politicians, just these people that get in and destroy these once great countries. So that happened. On the opposite end of the spectrum, 55 years ago today, the Apollo 15 lunar module, the Falcon, landed on the moon. Now, some people who question everything may doubt that happened, but I don't. Astronauts David Scott and Jim Irwin spent 66 hours, 54 minutes, and 53 seconds on the lunar surface 55 years ago today. People are like, Chris, well, everybody knows the moon landing was faked. Was it? Was it really faked? That's funny because, you know, there are telescopes that we have in this world and within our country that are very powerful. And you can literally go zoom in and look at the items that were left behind on the moon by our astronauts that faked the moon landing. So they flew all the way up there and dropped off a bunch of stuff. So then that way, when people 50 years later would doubt that the Earth is actually a globe, it's flat, and they would tell you that the moon landing was faked. But you can actually, they dropped off stuff on the moon to make it look like we were actually there. Wait, what? Don't ask questions with your logic and things. We got that. Also, thanks a lot, Democrats. A new study from personal finance website Smart Asset ranks Houston as the second least safe big city in the U.S. among cities with at least 250,000 residents. Only Memphis ranked worse than Houston. The 2026 study looked at 83 U.S. cities' violent crimes, property crimes, traffic deaths, and disaster risk. And Houston is the second least safe city in the nation. Houston apparently fared poorly in all four of these. 11.5 violent crimes per 1,000 residents, 42.9 property crimes per 1,000 residents, 11.6 traffic deaths per 100,000 residents, and a very high risk for natural disasters, which makes a city that's prone to, tropical weather and flooding. Oh, there you go. And when we get time, I'll go through some of the other cities and how they ranked. So we'll get into that. I just got to say thank you, Democrats. Ever since the Democrats took over the city of Houston and Harris County, things just got better. Oh, no, wait a minute. No, they didn't. They've only gotten worse. President Trump said he may pull acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's nomination for the full-time post to avoid making concessions for a couple lame duck Senate Republicans. There's a couple of guys, one you may be familiar with by the name of John Cornyn and then Tom Tillis. Trump says he may just pull it until they're out of office, which would be until January. So, because Todd is the acting Attorney General, so just leave him as acting. And that looks like that's probably going to be the case. President Trump also said we're going to find out if Senate Majority Leader John Thune should remain in his role on whether or not the Save America Act and Reconciliation 3.0. Hey, we've moved past Jim Crow 2.0. Oh, that's because it's Republicans. Oh, okay. Can make it through the upper chamber. We'll find out. Trump's like, I'll let you know. That's what he told Town Hall. I'll let you know if he doesn't get it through. That's going to be a big problem. We'll see. Oh, so we'll dig into that. Senator Rand Paul said there will be a panel vote to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci in contempt after the former NIAID leader refused to answer any questions during his testimony on Wednesday. Instead, repeatedly, I just over and over and over again, I mean, the whole time he was just, all you could hear was him saying,
I said there are so many amendments in the Constitution of the United States of America. I can only choose one.
All right, I could play the whole thing, but I'm not. So, all right, so they're going to have a vote. We'll see if they hold him in contempt. I retweeted this at ChrisX Radio on Twitter/X. Representative Brandon Gill mocked James Talarico over his resurfaced Twitter post celebrating Dr. Anthony Fauci's action figure. You're like, wait, what? Yeah, Gill pointed to a December 2021 post from Talarico, who was then a state rep. Talarico had shown off a masked Fauci figure, his little bobblehead, that he got as a Christmas gift. He asked the question, do you think James Talarico still plays with his Fauci action figure? I said, no, it's probably, it's stored away right next to his masks. Because he is one of those double and triple masker. In the 2021 post, Talarico praised the toy and urged his followers to get vaccinated and get boosted. He said, quote, I got the coolest action figure. I know I'm going to sound more like Beto, but then again, he's Beto Jesus, weird, Beto trans Jesus. I got the coolest action figure for Christmas. Thank you to all of the healthcare superheroes working today, Talarico wrote. Let's help by getting vaxxed and boosted. Now, Senator Ted Cruz piled on. He tied the old post to Fauci's refusal to answer lawmakers. James Talarico called Fauci a superhero today. Fauci took the fifth 111 times. Apparently, accountability was sold separately. That is so good. Leave it to Ted. Texas Ted doing a great job holding Talarico's feet to the fire. Let everybody know that he's a weirdo. He's a freako, Talarico. He's a former middle school teacher and some kind of a Presbyterian seminarian who's all into trans stuff. So, whatever. Talarico got some scrutiny earlier this month in a separate video. In it, he described legislation restricting gender-affirming care for minors. That's not gender-affirming. That is code speak for gender mutilation of minors to mimic that of the opposite sex, which doesn't make you the opposite sex, as stemming from a Christo-fascism movement. Congratulations, you're all Christo-fascists, according to James Talarico, who right now supposedly has the lead in at least one poll. We may get stuck with him here in Texas. I would be shocked if we end up getting James Talarico, but there's still some time between now and the election. Elon Musk, speaking of, the world's richest person, is preparing a major spending push to help Republicans retain control of Congress in the midterms. He's back. You know, he had that falling out with Trump, but then he got back on board and helped in 2024. And then, so we'll talk about this pact that he's got. And CNN is reporting about a third of Democrats and Democrat-leaning adults identify as Democrat socialist per the latest polling. So we can get into that. But we'll take your calls first. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. Let's go ahead and go to the phones, pick up with Spencer, who's been patiently holding. Spencer, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to ChrisX Radio.
Thank you, Chris. The only way to hold these evil tyrant COVID dirtbags responsible is confirming Todd Blanche as Attorney General, but it's being held up in committee by, wait for it, John Cornyn.
Now, he's not the only one. Tom Tillis of North Carolina, too.
Yeah, and John Cornyn's butthurt about the Trump IRS suit. You know, I'm talking about the settlement that he reached with the IRS, and Cornyn is insisting that they put it in writing that they will not resurrect that suit sometime down the road.
Yeah, John Cornyn is acting like John Cornyn when he's not running for re-election now that he's not running for re-election because he's a lame duck and he's done in January.
But you have to have Blanche in place to go after these COVID dirtbags.
No, hold on. I hear what you're saying, but Blanche is already in place. He's the acting attorney general, and Donald Trump says he's going to pull it and wait until these two losers are out of office, and then he'll bring it back up. So then in January, we won't have to deal with Tom Tillis because he's a lame duck too, or John Cornyn. It's going to be somebody else.
Okay, give me about 30 seconds here. I want to show you what I wrote to Congress. I'm writing to all Republican senators. After President Trump's address last week, you should be ashamed of your behavior regarding the Save America Act. However, I'm aware that the modern politician has no capacity for shame. The vast majority of the American people want this. You know that. But you believe that you can screw us and we won't do anything about it because we are too stupid to fight back. Wrong. This time you have gone too far in your corruption. Like the communists, the only thing you understand is fear and pain. We intend to politically give it to you. Do you not remember John Cornyn and Bill Cassidy? Tom Tillis bailed because he knew he was toast. If that's not enough, we will continue to remove every one of you losers who thwart the will of the people. There are a few exceptions. Mike Lee has bravely fought against you scumbags and received your contempt because he believes in the Constitution. All you believe in is power. Very well, we will take it away from you. I sent that to every Republican senator.
Did you send it to every Democrat senator too? Because all the Democrats are against it.
Oh, well, yeah, but that's like peeing in the ocean.
That's true. I mean, you're right. But that's, once again, there's only about 4 Republicans that we have to worry about, which sending it to them, hopefully we'll see if it moves the meter at all. But nonetheless, we'll see what happens with the 3.0 here coming up with the reconciliation, and hopefully we can get it through because, unfortunately, we have people like, I still don't know, honestly. I don't know how John Cornyn is going to vote on it. He said he was going to vote for it, but then they weren't able to go and get it passed in order to get Ken Paxton to drop out in the primary. So that didn't work out, but we shall see, because unfortunately there's the Thomas Masseys, and as you mentioned, Bill Cassidy's, and the Tom Tillis's, and the John Cornyns, and then of course you got to deal with people like Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski. So I don't know who else is going to be. We don't know where Mitch McConnell is, and then unfortunately Lindsey Graham passed away. So it's a moving target at best, but I think they should be able to get 50 votes. At least I hope they can, to try to get it done during reconciliation.
Well, we've got 12 senators who will not vote for adjournment. That's what I understand. But they can be voted over, right?
I don't know. I have not heard that on the 12 senators. I just know there's roughly maybe we're within 3 or 4 votes of getting them all, in to get the Save America back. Now, we can't do it just on a regular bill, but on reconciliation, all you need is 50, with the 51 tiebreaker being J.D. Vance, and they can get it through that way. But that's what was the NDAA bill they just passed, or so we'll see how they go. Thank you for the call, Spencer. I appreciate it. You're active. I appreciate that. Send in a letter. I don't know necessarily how effective, but it may be. It definitely doesn't hurt to let your representatives know exactly how you feel about them and what they're doing. And I know there are certain senators, clearly, that work on behalf of their constituency and the American people. And then there are others that are like John Cornyn. When you need him the most, where is he? He's with you most of the time, but when you need him most, where is he? Well, we don't know. And once again, these are lame ducks. Now, that's unfortunate because we still got to deal with people like that until the midterms are over. And that makes it real tough. That being said, we'll talk about Elon Musk, working to spend a whole lot of money to help retain Republican control of Congress. And the other thing, too, is I know, every time I hear John Fetterman talk, he sounds more and more logical, and people keep talking about him coming over to the Republican side. But then again, we don't need any primarily Democrat voting Republicans. We got enough of those. We want to get rid of them. Even though I like John Fetterman, he's not there on, like I said, I know where he is on most of the issues, and it's not with us. Anyway, let's take a break because we're over. Thank you for the call, Spencer. Appreciate it. All right, it is our Friday show on Thursday. So we'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about. Whether you want to talk about crime in Houston, yeah, that's great. 281-558 KSEV, 281-558-5738. You're listening to ChrisX Radio. Don't you go anywhere. We'll be right back.
ChrisX Radio.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Nix Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nix Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nixplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
Hey, y'all, it's Craig Collins. I wanted to let you know that my show airs every afternoon on KSEV from 6 to 7 p.m. I also wanted to encourage you to follow our social media pages. We are now live streaming most of our local content on KSEV Radio's YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter pages, as well as some of our select shows on KSEV Radio's Facebook page. Once again, please follow us at KSEV Radio on YouTube, Rumble, and X. And please follow me at Radio Craig C on X and on Facebook.
A look at this week's news headlines and more with a religious touch. The Sentinel Report, every Sunday afternoon at 4 p.m. here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
ChrisX here to tell you about Humble Amco transmission and AC specialists. People who know go to Amco. I personally trust Jay Streckfus and Humble Amco with all of my vehicle's needs. With complete car care, they'll take care of all of your auto needs as well. Always a free check engine light inspection, and tell them that ChrisX sent you for a free engine scan. Call Jay today at 281-446-0862. That's 281-446-0862, or online at humbleamco.com.
A must-have news feed for conservatives. Keep up to date on the key conservative issues with the KSEV Facebook page. From the news you need to know, to the topics that KSEV listeners are talking about, to KSEV events. There's a lot to like and a lot to share. Go to facebook.com/KSEV700 or find the link at ksevradio.com. Thanks for listening to KSEV Radio. Now, join the conversation online. Facebook.com/KSEV700.
Offices located 1 Sugar Creek Center, Sugar Land, Texas.
Thinking of buying a home? It's important to start off with a solid pre-approval. Hi, I'm Kathy Baker from Baker Mortgage. Yes, we ask a lot of questions, but that's because we're not going to give you a pre-approval that's going to blow up as you're trying to cross the finish line. What's figured in there for property taxes? If it didn't come up, you really don't know what you're pre-approved for. That should make you wonder what else they may have left out. At Baker Mortgage, we get it right. We haven't been around for 60 years because we're lucky. Yes, we have wholesale rates, 80-10-10s, and all kinds of programs, but in the end, it's really about taking good care of people, and they continue to come back and send their kids, their friends, and sometimes their parents. Whether you're buying, building, or refinancing, call us at Baker Mortgage. We're at 281-313-6683. That's 281-313-MOVE or directly at bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License 263213.
And now, we return you to your regularly scheduled dose of common sense. ChrisX Radio. ChrisX Radio.
Tool is a weird band, but they have some cool songs. That's for sure. All right, welcome back to ChrisX Radio. It is our Friday show on Thursday. You ask, why do you do a Friday show on Thursday? Because the Amigos take over tomorrow. That would be El Senador Paul Betancourt, the judge, and then bat and cleanup is Estru with a view, who shows up with his big bat, Lucille, and bat's cleanup. Usually that bat figuratively ends up alongside the judge's screwy head. The judge is a really nice guy, but his politics are, we'll just say, probably from a place, probably not from this earth or our planet close by, probably from a planet, maybe a planet that Robert in Pearland has visited frequently, probably from Uranus. Okay, that's all I'm going to say. But he's a great guy. He's terrific. He's fantastic. Anyway, it is our Friday show on Thursday. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. This new study comes from the personal finance website Smart Asset, ranks Houston as the least safe big city in the U.S. among cities with at least 250,000 residents. Only Memphis was ranked worse than Houston. If you watch the news, which I have on during the program, and that's the only time it's on, when I'm prepping or when I'm doing a program, because it's propaganda, but it's also, if it bleeds, it leads. And there's a whole lot of leading, bleeding going on in Houston and in Harris County since the Democrats took over. And that's all it has been. The study looks at 83 U.S. cities, the violent crimes, property crimes, traffic deaths, and disaster risk, and Houston fared poorly in all four. 11.5 violent crimes per 1,000 residents, 42.9 property crimes per 1,000 residents, 11.6 traffic deaths per 100,000 residents, and a very high risk for natural disasters, as we know, since we're in a city prone to tropical weather and flooding, and we've had some of the worst floods in U.S. history. In fact, I know I got flooded in Harvey. At the time, was the worst flooding in U.S. history, and I don't know if anything has beaten it yet. But you've got Memphis is number 1, Houston is number 2, St. Louis is number 3, San Francisco is number 4, Kansas City is number 5, Albuquerque is 6, Oakland, California is 7, Nashville, Tennessee is 8, Philadelphia is 9, Detroit, Michigan is 10. So, yeah, we're doing great. All right, let's go to the phones. 281-558-KSEV. We'll talk about whatever is on your mind today. 281-558-5738. Let's go to Chris, listening in Spring. Chris, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to ChrisX Radio.
You just know Rodney Ellis is giddy from all those statistics. But let me tell you something, Chris. The property statistics they're biased. My buddy in the Heights, they took his truck, stole it right from his front yard, gone, disappeared. He gets a letter from, I'm trying to get him to send it to me, from some, I don't know if it was HPD, asking if the vehicle has been recovered. See, they want to hope that some idiot's going to say yes, and they can put their crime statistics in the bias blender there. It is embarrassing. This is not happens when you let Democrats take over the commissioner's court 4-1. We'll never get it back. Well, maybe, but it is so bad. There's cartel houses in the Heights. You can search HPD Twitter account. This is not fake news. It's real news. Tony Busby was right. It's dangerous. And here we go, just whistling in the wind. It's not a good look, Chris. But I did want to talk about our buddy Joe in Sugar Land. I heard him call the morning show a couple days ago. He was a little perplexed by Clay Travis. Joe, my man, Clay Travis replaced Rush Limbaugh, goes on his show and announces to the world that he voted for Barack Obama in 2008. Damn, this sucks. Have a good one, buddy.
All right. Thank you for the call, Chris. Yeah, that shows a very low political acumen. I'll just say that. It's funny because I know those guys are Buck and Clay, or Clay and Buck, whatever, but I call them Blake and Charlie because those longtime Houston residents remember we used to have an FM show on 101 KLOL, which was a mainstay for rock radio for people in my generation and probably most of the people who listen to this program or listen to this station. So KLOL was a big station, and there was a morning show called Blake and Charlie, which they were ridiculous. They were funny, but it was a different world back then, clearly. But you're right. Like I said, maybe Clay voted for him. I'm pretty sure Buck did not. Buck is a hardcore conservative, but then again, he comes out of New York, which is weird. Those guys to replace Rush Limbaugh was a very strange pick, in my opinion, especially because it's two people, which is weird. Clay comes from the sports world, and he seems to know sports, but I'm so checked out of sports now because once sports went woke, I quit watching. Like I said, I know other people are happy still spending, giving them their money to espouse their woke propaganda, but I don't do that anymore, and I won't do that. There's only one sport that I will participate in, or at least, well, I'm not going to participate in it, but I may give my money to, and that would be the MMA, the UFC, because they're not woke. They're more like America. I can't stomach the MLB. I haven't watched the NBA in years. Since the Oilers left Houston, I haven't really watched football. Tried a couple of times with the Texans, but they've been a total disaster from the get-go. Total disaster. So it doesn't surprise me that someone like that would be. I'll just say this. It's good to be late to the party instead of not at all. Welcome to the party. We're glad to have you. Now sit down and listen a little bit to people who've been here longer and understand why we are where we are. And that's why people like Chris and I and most of the listeners of this station are where we are. Now, there's a few that are on the other side, which for the love of God, once again, liberalism is a mental disorder. You can't even I don't even attempt to try to diagnose it anymore. I just try to point it out so everyone listening can understand how crazy it is. When you have people calling in defending dirtbags like Dr. Fauci, a verbal arsonist, as Adam Carolla was calling him yesterday. Adam Carolla just torched him, and he's right on. The guy went through there and literally would destroy anyone who tried to debate with him. He would destroy you, destroy your business. I remember the things that were happening during COVID, and this was all brought on by Mr. Fauci. Oh, I know he was just giving directives who then filtered through the entire country. I get it. But that being said, I remember and there were still people behaving that way through 2002, 2003. It was astonishing. But it didn't take that for me to understand that Democrats are nothing but Marxist, socialists, and now communist. In fact, they're controlled by the Communist Party. And it is terrible to vote for them, ever. And I didn't vote for Obama. I would never vote for Obama on his worst day. Then again, I'm not manipulated by young kids or the fake news or propaganda sports. So that, I just remember when it happened, God, all the young people, we have to listen to the young people. Young people are idiots. No, they're not. Not all young people are idiots. Some are very smart, but they don't have any skin in the game, and they generally don't understand property taxes, and they don't get it. They don't have any skin in the game, therefore they don't have anything to lose, so they'll go ahead and experiment with Democrats. Those of us that have skin in the game, we understand everything you take from somebody else and give to somebody else is basically stealing. And Democrats are the greatest money launderers in the history of this country, probably the world. All right, thanks for the call, Chris. 281-558-KSEV, 5738. We'll take a break. It is our Friday show on Thursday. I think Clay and Buck are both younger than I am, too, which is kind of funny because I'm still a Gen Xer, but I think they're Gen Xers, too. I don't know. Anyway, they're forever Blake and Charlie to me. So when I do listen to them, that is always in the back of my mind. I'm listening to Blake and Charlie. And I think they probably do okay. A pale comparison to Rush Limbaugh, to say the least. Then again, we all are. All right, 281-558 KSEV. We'll be right back.
You're listening to ChrisX Radio on the voice of Texas.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
NPL 38548.
You know, where we go in life matters, and what we do matters, and we know that taking the wrong road won't produce the best outcomes. Hi, I'm Kathy with Baker Mortgage, and we want you to take the right path when it comes to your mortgage. You know, we live in a world of information overload, but always consider the source. And these are not generally going to be from your big bank or a random offer that comes across your screen. Remember, you're always going to get a better deal on one that you go looking for than one that comes looking for you. You need to deal with somebody who gives a you-know-what, whether or not you're happy in the end. At Baker Mortgage, we do it right. We haven't been around for 68 years because we're lucky. We don't sell CDs, insurance, or anything else. We just provide a great mortgage experience. Isn't that what you're looking for? Call us at Baker Mortgage. I promise you'll be glad you did. We're at 281-313-MOVE or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
Tune in each Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for On the Money with your host and CEO of Allied Wealth Texas, Ryan Wheelis, who can help you live your richest life possible during your retirement years. That's each Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on AM 700 KSEV.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
NPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
From the KSEV Weather Center, tonight the skies will gradually clear and it will be humid with a low of 79. Tomorrow will bring a mix of sun and clouds, resulting in very warm temperatures with a high of 98. Tomorrow night, expect mainly clear skies and continued humidity with a low of 79. As we head into Saturday, the day will be very warm with intervals of sunshine and clouds and a high of 97. With the KSEV Weather Center forecast, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina.
And now, back to ChrisX Radio. ChrisX Radio on the voice of Texas.
Trying to remember how many times I saw Yes in concert back in the 80s and 90s. I think I saw them 3 times. Of course, I've seen Rush like 5 times. I never saw the Eagles live. I've seen Don Henley live like 5 times. I saw him with, what was her name? She married the guy who sings Call Me Al, which is funny. I can't remember his name. It was... which it's funny because it was Franken and something, whatever. Can't think of his name or her name. I'll remember in a minute. But she opened up for him in the Summit for Don Henley. It was great because Don Henley was great live, even though he's a total political douche and he's a liberal douchebag. But that being said, he's a phenomenal musician, an amazing singer, and he's written some great songs. Dirty Laundry is an amazing song. Sunset Grill is an amazing song. That album with, what was it, New York Minute on it, and that was a big smash. And, of course, he would do the big hits from the Eagles because, well, he was the Eagles, part of them anyway. But I never saw the Eagles live. And by the way, the singer sang the song, What I Got Is What I Got. What is her name? Edie Brickell. Okay. And then is Al? No, that gets the song You Can Call Me Out. She married whatever. Lucas, maybe you can look that up for me. Tell me who Edie Brickell married.
He's Paul Simon.
Paul Simon, thank you. Man, look at that. Lucas is all over it. So Paul Simon, who was a very talented musician himself. So it was Simon and Garfunkel. Where was I getting Franken? That was Al Franken. He's a liberal douchebag too. So anyway, so I've seen him. Like I said, I saw Don Henley, I think 3 times at the Woodlands, Cynthia Mitchell Woodlands Pavilion. What's funny is I used to go. I saw Jimmy Buffett 3 times, I believe, there. I saw one time Don Henley had the girl from the Bangles. You know what I'm talking about. I say the good-looking one. Now look back now, they were all good-looking. But looking at the time, Susanna Hoffs, she opened up for Don Henley. And she sang Feel Like Making Love and made it a very sexy song. I was like, okay, I understand why this chick made it now. She's actually really talented, too. So, interesting story. But what's funny is Prince wrote one of their big hits, Just Another Manic Monday, which I talk about every Monday. No, he wrote that hit for them. It was funny. I heard her tell the story how, they were hidden. They did, was a Walk Like an Egyptian. But they had their hits. And then they had heard that Prince had reached out and wanted to meet them. So he flew them all up to Minnesota, had them come to the studio. And she was like, it's a weird business. They're weird people. Prince was weird, but in a very different way. She said, we waited for a while, and then they brought us into his studio, and they finally came out, and all he did was talk about how great they were and how talented they were, and he sent from a piano, and he said, hey, let's jam. And they're like, okay, we'll play some Prince songs. And he goes, no, I only want to play your music. Let's play what you guys do. And they were all just like, huh? We're sitting here with Prince, and this is before they did Manic Monday. And Prince, and then they jammed, and he played on their music, which Prince was so talented. And then when they were done, he says, hey, I wrote a song, and I want you guys to do it. And Susanna Hoff said, well, we'll have to discuss it as a band. Okay, we'll do it. We'll have to think about it. All righty then. So they did it. It was a very big hit. And then if you ever go watch, like I said, on the YouTube views, you can go watch Prince actually performing that song himself because he wrote it. Then again, Prince wrote everything in the 80s. Just like Barry Gibb from the Bee Gees wrote everything in the 70s and the 60s, even probably some of the late 50s. Barry Gibb was extremely talented, or is, still around. Very talented, similar to how Prince was. But Prince wrote, my God, he wrote Manic Monday. He wrote with Shaka Khan, I Feel For You. He wrote the Ready for the World. What was their song? Oh, Sheila. I mean, he wrote Manic Monday. He wrote everything in the 80s. If you ever heard a song that kind of sounded like Prince, there's a reason why, because he wrote it. And Prince was a very diverse musical guy. That guy could do just about anything. And he made a point. I watched a documentary on him. And they talked about, like I said, he was already playing out, getting ready to put together his albums when he was 15, 16 years old. And then I think his first album, he was 19. It's crazy. And then he won an Academy Award back in 1984 for Purple Rain, which was the first song that he ever allowed any of his musicians that he jammed with to write. They wrote some of it. He finished it up for them. But he took what they did, gave them credit. But then you go back and listen to that album, my God. It's kind of dated because of the movie, but still, the music still holds up, still good. That was a big loss. It was funny because Prince said when Led Zeppelin broke up, music lost its color. And then I said when Prince died, music lost its soul. And I do believe it did, because I don't think we have anything like that these days. It's sad. Like I said, now we're stuck with whatever. I listen to K-pop, and it's better than the garbage we're getting in our country, and that's because the K-pop is doing what we were doing in the 80s. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, that's an interesting rabbit hole to run down if you ever want to go back and look at things like Prince and some of these really talented people like Barry Gibb. And I think his grandson now, it's funny, on YouTube, it was, somebody had posted something. His name is Kai. I can't remember what his last name is. But it's like, it's got to be Barry Gibb's grandson or one of his brothers, the two of the brothers that have passed away. But the guy looks just like Barry Gibb. A young Barry Gibb is like 17, 18, 19. He's a kid, but he does a version of, which one is it? How Deep Is Your Love? And it's him singing all the harmony parts, and he does the video where it's him, multiple characters of himself in the video. And it's somebody posted, it's the Bee Gees' grandchildren. And then when I watched that, that's what I thought. I was like, man, all those kids look exactly the same. Turns out it's just one. His name is Kai something. And that kid, talk about coming from a serious musical bloodline. But if you ever want to go watch that because he does a fantastic job. What's funny is it's that falsetto. But he's a young kid, so his falsetto's a little higher than Barry Gibb's, which is hard to believe. Like I said, he sings a little higher, but man, he does a bang-up job. He nails it. Does a great job on it. It's funny because, like I said, kids these days, and he looks like he's a good, clean-cut kid. I mean, he doesn't look like he's not all tatted up, and he's not a loser, and he doesn't look like a drug addict. He looks to be pretty clean, and from what I saw from his YouTube page, basically he wants to collaborate with whoever wants to collaborate with him. So he wants to do a bunch of music stuff. So this is music in your genes, where he's got to do it and wants to do it. All right, tell you what, we're a little over. Let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come back. Looks like we might have a cracker smoker out in Pearland. There could be a cracker smoker. We could call him a smacker croaker. I don't know. I just prefer to call him Run On Robert. Let's take a short break. This is our Friday show on Thursday. So which I just did. We'll talk about whatever's on your mind. 281-558-KSEV. 281-558-5738. Look at that. Look at Lucas. Playing Staying Alive. I hear you. I see what you're doing. By the way, I'm thinking of burger tonight. If anybody has any good burger recommendations, feel free to call in and give them to me. 281-558-KSEV. We'll be right back.
Elections have consequences. So does your radio dial. Don't touch it. ChrisX Radio returns after this.
Tune in to the Ray Massey Reverse Mortgage Show each Friday at 1 p.m. and Saturdays at 3 p.m. with Treybo Mortgage. Or call Ray directly at 855-266-1600 or online at reversemortgages4Texans.com.
Everyone knows the BBB is the Better Business Bureau, but depending on what you need, it's the Better Plumber Bureau, the Better Auto Mechanic Bureau, the Better Accountant Bureau. That's because the BBB connects people with businesses they can trust. So think of the BBB as the better check that business out first so you don't get ripped off bureau. Be smart. Always look for the BBB seal because it's looking out for you. And find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
Hi, this is Michael Miller. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program presented by Miller Pools and Texan Pools, now at our new time every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. And what we do here on the Backyard Bay radio program is talk about your backyard. And this time of year, wow, it's so hard not to just spend all your time out in the Backyard Bay. And I know sometimes you have questions. That's why we do the Backyard Bay radio program, to get you good, solid answers to any kind of questions that you may have concerning your swimming pools, or I'm looking to build a new swimming pool. Join me this weekend for the Backyard Bay radio program, now at our new time every Saturday morning at 9 a.m. right here on The Voice.
Hi, this is Louis Flory. You've been relying on Ability Tree Experts for decades to protect and maintain the valuable trees on your property. You can continue to rely on the same professional services. So call Ability Tree Experts at 281-441-4179 today.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. Our country's founding fathers drafted a document that is the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. To secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their powers from the consent of the governed. My friends at O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe we're at a precipice in time where we must take back our country. We must stand up for our freedoms or lose them forever. Please don't sit idle and let it slip away. Don't let anyone force you to do something you choose not to. As JFK said, if not us, who? If not now, when? If you're looking to buy or sell real estate, give O'Hara & Company Real Estate a call at 281-373-3393, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
Fake news hates us. Fake news hates us. ChrisX Radio. ChrisX Radio.
Another great remake I was informed of by one of our esteemed colleagues here on KSEV. Well, one of our listeners, which I consider our listeners colleagues, well, with the exception of the occasional caller. Some people, I don't know if I'd call them colleagues. We just call them callers. All right, so somebody was debating with me. I'm getting text messages. I won't mention any names, Rich Rosso, but was saying that the Bengals were all dogs except for Susanna Hoffs, who's like 65, 66 years old and still hot AF. But he said the others were dogs. I'm like, go back and look at some of their videos. Early on, I probably was the case, but some of the later stuff, they were looking good. Then again, I prefer the K-pop hotties of today. All of them look, God, they don't even register on the hotness scale. Anyway, welcome back to ChrisX Radio. You reached the final segment of the first hour. It is our Friday show on Thursday, so we'll be talking about whatever is on your mind today at 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. And it just hit me. I'm getting kind of hungry. I'm thinking maybe a burger tonight. So if you got any good burger joint suggestions in the Houston or North Houston area, feel free to call and let me know, 281-558-KSEV. I randomly do this every now and then. I'll solicit good burger locations to go eat because I'm always up to try a new burger. I love the Bex Prime. I love the JLB Eatery. I like some of those. There's some other places that like restaurants that have good burgers. Chili's actually has pretty good burgers. Ron's Burgers and Chili in Tomball. Ooh, that may be a winner tonight. I don't know, unless you got some ideas. You may know some good burger joints. I always get great suggestions from you guys. That's why I do this. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. All right, let's go to the phones. Pick up with the one and only Run-On Robert, listening in Pearland. Robert, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to ChrisX Radio.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you for that killer walk-up music. Hey, man, the other day when you started doing an impression of James Talarico, I thought my radio had suddenly switched to a South Park episode.
I was doing a James Talarico earlier, but I sounded more like Beto O'Rourke. So I haven't really worked on my Talarico impression, but I'll have to work on it.
But it was very feminine. So I'm getting a job at an instruction company, Chris. Good benefits. Weekends off, 401k. You should try it. I'm telling you, man. You don't need radio. You're not even that good. You need a real job. You need to turn your life around. Do what I'm telling you. Get out of this pretend news show before you get too old. Me, I'm going to be great at this instruction job. You better listen to my success. Actually,
here's my thing, though. First of all, congratulations on your new instruction job that you got. Second of all, since you got weekends off, are you still going to go off on the weekends and watch those windshields on the corners of Pearland?
Oh, yes. They need me out there. They need me on that wall.
They need you on that corner. This is true. And your little bucket of water and Luigi the squeegee.
My man, Luigi. So, a news
by the way,
reporter
for those listening,
yes,
by the way, before you get to your point, for those listening, I actually got to meet Luigi the Squeegee at one of our pizza parties. So he's a real thing. He's a real entity. He exists, and he's a lot bigger than I expected.
Yeah, he's 36 inches of pure anger. The news reporter described Trump's tactics with, Iran as bombing the bejesus out of that country. My guess is there was not a lot of bejesus in that country to begin with. He probably just walked out.
I think you make a really good point. I don't believe there was a lot of bejesus going on in Iran. Not in the last 49 years, for sure.
49 years. Now, I just caught the tail end of you saying something. You were talking about a guy named Noah who went 7 years into the future, but I'm not buying it. You know why? Question, why is that guy not super rich, huh?
You think if you could go into the future, you could literally come back and just roll over the betting markets and win gazillions of dollars, like what happened in, was it Back to the Future 3? Yeah, like I said, anyone that came back from the future that isn't filthy rich, I don't believe their story.
Oh, man, this is perfect because you're talking about space and physics. Chris, you really don't hear the word hipster much anymore. So my question is, what did you do to that word? How did you end its usage in common parlance? How much power do you actually have? I know you can control the time-space continuum, but are you going to continuum eradicating words from our lexicon? I'm not even sure that's the correct use of the word continuum. You're only making it harder.
Well, Robert, in all fairness, once you get a little older, I think I fell and broke my hipster, and that's what killed the word. So that's why we don't use it.
Oh, okay. Well, speaking of words, Tiguan. What the hell is a Tiguan? Did you create that word, Chris? After destroying the word hipster, the word for when cool things matter, and you and Volkswagen are now creating a car description where something meaningless now has to matter, like the radio show? Chris, do you have the power over physics? Can you actually destroy matter and create matter? Are you God, Chris? I'm doubting that because of your show. And if you were good, if you were God, I'm sure your ratings would continue to grow.
The best part of that entire bit was that the Freudian slip at the end, if you were good, I mean God. I would say, I think link. No. You that was subliminal, and you did it on purpose. But yeah, fortunately, I'm not God, so I just do this little radio show, and at least I get the weekends off. I'll be happy with that.
Good deal. I still don't give. Speaking of politics, we may need to round up some Republican leaders who can save the SAVE Act, which will then save the country. What do you think of that?
Well, I guess that's why it's called the Save America Act. I don't know, maybe.
Well, what's called? Hey, Chris, by the way, who in the hell would ever smoke a chain? I've been wondering on it. I got one last thing for you because I know it's getting close to the hour.
Yeah,
Chris, I'm under you talking about going up the country and you had to refill with 5 bags of corn at about $60 your feeder. While that is unfortunate, I do have good news. Perhaps your listeners should pull their rocking chairs a little closer to the radio. I have a way to get you all the free corn you could ever want. The secret is this. Tune in to the ChrisX radio show, 7 a.m. KSEV and Town Ball every other Thursday, somewhere in the first hour, and turn your volume to 11. When you hear that Cracker Croker will be coming on right after the break, listen in. He can fill 3 minutes, and it's all free. He can fill 5 bags of corn in less than 3 minutes.
Okay, as usual, your math is off. Thanks for the call, but we're out of time. Literally, the hour's over. Hour number 2 is up next. Don't go away.
AM 700 KSEV, Tomball, Houston, and streaming online at ksevradio.com, the voice of Texas.
Town Hall, I'm Keith Peters in Washington. The father who gave his son a gun used to kill 4 people at a Georgia high school gets 15 years in prison.
Colin Gray was convicted of charges including second-degree murder and involuntary manslaughter. His now 16-year-old son, Colt Gray, was sentenced to life in prison this week. Shayna Aspinwall's husband was one of the 2 teachers killed.
He did not pull the trigger, but purchased and left a firearm accessible to a minor.
Judge Nicholas Prim says his heart breaks for everyone in the courtroom.
It is clear you failed as a parent. You did not provide a stable household.
The judge also said punishing crimes of negligence is especially hard because there is no intent to commit a crime. I'm Ed Donahue.
The Senate confirms President Trump's nominee to lead the CDC. More from correspondent Bernie Bennett.
The Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee voted 13-10 to advance the nomination of Erica Schwartz, President Donald Trump's pick to lead the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Schwartz secured a key vote from the committee's chair, Bill Cassidy of Louisiana, who said Thursday morning that he was confident she would defend science. Schwartz also got a rare Democratic vote for Health Department nominee from Virginia's Tim Kaine, who said earlier this week that he felt the CDC needed a Senate-confirmed leader given outbreaks of measles and other diseases in the U.S. and around the world. Bernie Bennett, Washington.
President Trump says he may withdraw and delay Todd Blanche's nomination as Attorney General until Republican senators who are seeking concessions from the top prosecutor leave office. Trump doubled down Thursday on choosing his former personal lawyer as the nation's top lawman. On Wall Street, the Dow by 613 points, the Nasdaq rose 679, the S&P advanced 121. More at townhall.com.
Hi, I'm Kirk Cameron. Christian Healthcare Ministries is not another health insurance policy. If you're tired of year-long contracts and pointless restrictions, CHM offers anytime enrollment on your schedule and at your convenience. With CHM, you're paying half the cost of a traditional health insurance plan. So that puts more money back into your budget for everyday needs. Plus, you'll have access to CHM's care solutions for virtual appointments, prescription savings, surgery support, and more. My family and I joined in 2018, and it's changed our lives for the better. We love paying way less while helping other believers afford their medical bills. Take the leap of faith and see why Christians across the nation are better with CHM.
Get started by calling 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS for a 50% credit towards your first month. That's 1-833-JOIN-CHM and use promo code WELLNESS.
This True Sand commentary is brought to you by Ability Tree Experts. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professionals. Call 281-441-4179.
From KSEV, here's political contributor Ben Strusand.
For 47 years, the Islamic leaders running Iran have waged war against the United States and its allies, killing Americans, taking hostages, and attempting assassinations of American leaders. After losing a 12-day war with Israel, the Iranian regime was reconstituting its ballistic missile and drone forces, adding around 100 a month, and moving its highly enriched uranium from sites destroyed by the U.S. to safer areas in order to continue their nuclear weapons program. The Trump administration attempted to negotiate a deal offering to provide free enriched uranium for peaceful energy use, but the Iranians refused to give up their centrifuges or their ballistic missiles. They had no intention of changing course. As in the past, the Iranian strategy was to drag out the negotiations until someone not named Trump was in charge, and who can blame them? Other presidents issued warnings and drew red lines, but Trump, rather than waiting for the regime to rebuild its forces, decided to act again. Democrats and their media allies are asking, why now? What justifies a U.S. attack? They are right to claim that the threat was not imminent, but it was constant. Trump, believing that the regime was weakened by the war with Israel and facing an uprising domestically, felt the timing was right and decided to decapitate their leadership and eliminate the threat. Unquestionably, the regime is entrenched. They have millions of followers and they have nowhere to go. Removing all of them may be impossible. Nevertheless, a government run by homicidal maniacs seeking martyrdom in the name of Allah just can't be allowed to gain the tools necessary to implement their vision. Whether we do it now or later makes no difference. It must be done. Both the Democrats and Tucker Carlson are wrong. This is not a forever war. This is not a war of choice. It is a war of no choice. Comparisons to Iraq are dishonest, meant to scare stupid people because despite the 47-year history of evidence, beginning with the hostages taken at our embassy, stupid people still think that this regime can be appeased or deterred or negotiated with. They fail to understand the character of the clerics in charge. When they chant death to America, they really mean it. No one should shed a tear about their elimination. So please, we know you hate Trump, but stop rooting for the other side. I'm Ben Strusand, and that's my view.
Ben Strusand, only on AM 700 KSEV.
The best in financial talk and more. Money Matters, every Monday through Thursday from 11 a.m. till noon here on AM 700 KSEV and streaming online at ksevradio.com.
At Idea Public Schools, students are prepared not just for graduation, but for what comes next. Because when students are challenged and supported, bright futures follow. Bright futures begin at Idea Public Schools. Learn more at ideapublicschools.org.
Sponsored by Idea Public Schools.
Thank goodness our weather experts are providing us with hurricane tracking charts and reminding us to be prepared for big storms. But they overlook one very important thing, the damage and destruction from broken limbs and uprooted trees. Call Louis Flory at Ability Tree Experts today. My friend for nearly 40 years, at 281-441-4179, and let him explain how this problem can be minimized with professional pruning. You see, when the tree canopy is too thick and dense, the tree can be completely blown over and tree limbs broken, causing terrible damage to the tree and maybe your home. Where tree limbs break, sap will ooze, and that attracts harmful insects. So you need to call Louis Flory today at 281-441-4179 and have his experts come out and professionally prune your trees to withstand sudden storms that are so frequent this time of year. Visit their website at abilitytrees.com. That's 281-441-4179. Ability Tree Experts, Houston's leading tree care professional.
Launch control, this is Houston. We are go for launch.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
It's ChrisX Radio. ChrisX Radio.
What we need right now is a clear message to the people of this country. This message must be read in every newspaper, heard on every radio, seen on every television. This message must resound throughout the entire interlink.
And now, your host.
I believe this is going to be our finest hour.
ChrisX.
Can't believe it. We've already reached the second hour of the program. This is flying by on a Friday show on Thursday, which is, well, generally the case. Good evening and welcome to the second hour of ChrisX Radio. Glad to have you here with us on our Friday show on Thursday. That's right, we're kicking off the weekend 24 hours ahead of everybody else. Why? Well, because we can. And also because the Amigos take over tomorrow from 4 to 6. So as you know, two objects cannot occupy the same space at the same time. So we, of course, manipulate the time-space continuum, as you heard from our good friend Robert in Pearland, who, by the way, I don't think he knew the end was coming, but he just kind of kept going, so we had to cut him. But he had good material today. I got to give Robert credit. He actually was a pretty good call earlier. Don't tell him that, though, because then he'll go back and then say 5 bags of corn instead of 6. He listens just enough to get himself in trouble. But anyway, we've moved our Friday show to today so the Amigos can take over tomorrow. That would be El Senador, Paul Betancourt, the judge, and then a Stru with a view, Mr. Ben Strusand, bat and cleanup. He comes in with his big bat, Lucille, and then figuratively places upside the head of the liberal lefty judge. You know, it's funny, he's been hitting him over the head with it for 20 years and still, 20-plus years, still hasn't knocked any sense into that dude, but there you go. So we'll talk about whatever is on your mind today, because that's what we do on our Friday show on Thursday. 281-558-KSEV. 281-558-5738. I haven't really talked about the weather today, man. It's hot. It was over 100 over on my side of town earlier today. And then now it's what says 99. So it's really cooled down. Oh, man, it's too hot. It's cooled down here on your Friday show on Thursday, but we'll talk about whatever's on you guys' mind. I had a lot of calls the first hour. People talking about, by the way, also, I just brought this up late in the first hour. I'm just going to shock you guys. I'm getting hungry. I know it's weird. And I'm thinking I need a good burger. And I'm always asking for burger because every time I've gotten burger recommendations from you guys, they're always good. And I really enjoy the burger recommendations because somebody will think of somewhere that I haven't been or I haven't been in a long time. And, man, I'm always down for a good burger. So if you have any good burger recommendations or you want to talk about whatever, 281-558-KSEV. KSEV. That's 281-558-5738. Okay, also today, Spain got invaded by illegals today after their Supreme Court ruled that police can't stop them by sea. So I know it's kind of crazy. You're gonna find this hard to believe. They were overran by illegals pouring into their nation via sea. I don't. These were once great nations, and these liberal idiots in charge of these countries, and that includes ours, are now just being run roughshod over just by people that have no rights to their land. Looking what the Europeans did to our nations in the last 200 years, 250 in our case, but the world, and then watching them be overrun by crazed individuals, young men, fighting age individuals, pouring into their nations with crime and rape and God knows what else, because they don't assimilate. They're not interested in assimilating. They're interested in what? What are they interested in, folks? If you were to guess, they're conquering. That's how it is. Also today, it's 55 years ago today that the Apollo 15 lunar module, the Falcon, landed on the moon. Astronauts David Scott and Jim Irwin spent 66 hours, 54 minutes, and 53 seconds on the lunar surface. Now, there are some people that believe that didn't happen. They think that NASA faked it, the Earth is flat, and I guess the moon is flat too. So, but what's funny is that when I have the debate with those who don't believe that the lunar landing was real, there's one thing that they refuse to do, is to go to a telescope, and they have some. There's really powerful telescopes we have, and with that powerful telescope, you can zoom in on the moon and see the equipment the astronauts left on the moon. So if I'm to believe them, the NASA never really went to the moon. The astronauts didn't really, they faked it, but they flew up there and then dropped off all the equipment they used to fake it and left it on the moon. Just like I'm supposed to believe the Earth is flat. And there are some people that believe the moon is flat. Really? Anyway. Okay. All right. So in hour number 2, we'll go to the phones here in a minute if you want to join us. 281-558-KSEV. A new study from personal finance website Smart Asset ranks Houston as the second least safe big city in the U.S., among other cities with at least 250,000 residents. Only Memphis, Tennessee is ranked worse than Houston. So according to them, the Democrats have brought us here in Houston 11.5 violent crimes per 1,000 residents, 42.9 property crimes per 1,000 residents, 11.6 traffic deaths per 100,000 residents, and a very high risk for natural disasters, which makes the city prone to tropical weather and flooding, which we know about that. But even taking that out, still 3 out of 4? Was it Meatloaf or Transloaf that told us 2 out of 3 ain't bad? But the top 5 are Memphis, Tennessee, Houston is number 2, St. Louis, Missouri, San Francisco, California, and then Kansas City, Missouri. Thank you very much, Democrats. Thank you very much, Dana. Thanks a lot, Democrats. President Trump has said he may pull acting Attorney General Todd Blanche's nomination for the full-time post to avoid making concessions to a few lame duck Senate Republicans like John Cornyn and Tom Tillis. He'll just wait till January, and those clowns are out, and then say, all right, we'll go that route. So he's considering doing this because, once again, John Cornyn, now that he's no longer running for Senate, well, his true colors always come through, don't they? President Trump also said we're going to find out if Senate Majority Leader John Thune should remain in his role on whether or not the Save America Act and Reconciliation 3.0 can make it through the upper chamber. Trump said, I'll let you know, okay? I'll let you know. We'll see. Thune doesn't seem to think he can do it. I don't know why. With legislation that is popular among 80+% of Republicans and 70+% of Democrats. The vast majority of the American people say, yeah, we're good at this. Every single Democrat is against it. And what is it, 4 Republicans? I think they still haven't gotten on board. They did it one time, see if they can get them back on board. But Trump says, let's get it done, okay? Get it done, boys. Senator Rand Paul said there will be a panel vote to hold Anthony Fauci in contempt after the former NIAID leader refused to answer any questions during his testimony yesterday and and repeatedly invoked the Fifth Amendment. So Rand Paul says that vote will happen in committee next week, so they may hold Fauci in contempt of Congress, which is a new charge, which probably doesn't – I don't think he got pardoned for that. He didn't get pardoned in perpetuity, I do not believe. And Brandon Gill mocked James Talarico over his resurfaced Twitter post celebrating Dr. Anthony Fauci's action figure. Someone apparently he showed off a mask figure he got from Christmas that it was an action figure that he received. He goes, I just got the coolest action figure for Christmas. Thank you to all the healthcare superheroes working today. Let's help by getting vaxxed and boosted. Brandon Gill asked him, hey, do you think Talarico still plays with his Fauci action figure? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. And Elon Musk, the world's richest person, he's the first trillionaire, is preparing a major spending push to help Republicans retain control of Congress in the upcoming midterm elections. So that'll be interesting to see. And if we get time, we can even talk about CNN reporting that about 1/3 of Democrats and Democrat-leaning adults identify as Democrat socialist communist. That doesn't surprise me because liberalism is a mental disorder and it doesn't seem to have changed anything. All right, 281-558-KSEV. If you want to join us, let's go ahead and go to the phones. Pick up with Bubba listening in the Woodlands. Bubba, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to ChrisX Radio.
Howdy, Chris.
Hey, Bubba.
Hey, man, the earth is flat, and I feverishly believe that because everybody that was ever my next-door neighbor, when they moved away, I never heard from them again, so I figured they must have fell off the edge of the earth.
How can you argue with that kind of science?
Right. But anyway, it took me a long time, but I'm going to say one thing positive about Fauci, and that's about like saying something positive about Lee Harvey Oswald, because at least he didn't shoot me, right? But it was Fauci. Fauci did say that it was safe to vote in person in the 2020 presidential election, and but the Democrats, went the other way, and they already had their drop-off boxes and stuff by ballot harvesting. They already had that all ready to go.
What's funny is I didn't even remember that, but that is okay. You know what? There you go. You did find one thing positive to say. I'm proud of you. That's very Christian of you, Bubba.
Well, it took a while. Hey, there was a documentary on, and Robert said something about turning it up to 11, and it reminded me of it. It's about this guy out in California has his guitar shop called Norm's Vintage Guitar Shop. And I don't know if you've seen it, but this thing is awesome. You go inside the place, the showroom is pretty phenomenal, but then the cameras went into the back room where very few people are allowed, and you wouldn't believe the stuff this guy has. Vintage stuff without a scratch back there.
I have not seen it. Do you remember the name of it?
Norm's Vintage Guitar Shop.
Okay, Norm's Vintage. Okay, I got to look that up.
You got to look for this thing because it's unbelievable. He was one of those guys that was around at the right place at the right time, like Reggie Jackson when he was buying up muscle cars,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know Reggie Jackson bought a bunch of muscle cars. I had no idea.
Oh, dude, he had storage buildings full of them. He's been selling them off, over the past few years. But yeah, he was buying them, off original owners, low mileage, because the gasoline crunch in the early 70s went on. A lot of people were getting rid of their muscle cars for econo boxes and all that. But he had the vision to think that these cars are going to be worth something someday. And it's the same thing with Norm and all these guitars.
Oh, wow.
He was buying up, Stratocasters and Les Pauls from anywhere from $25 to, $200, and they're worth thousands now,
Well, and I'm assuming
unmolested.
I'm assuming he can go and he probably restored some of them. I imagine he's probably pretty good at that. So, and
They really didn't show him messing with them. He was just one of these guys that would buy them and take them back, and he decided to go into the business, and he started in a small place, and then he kept bringing more and more in, and he finally, his wife made him say, look, if you're going to keep bringing them in, you got to start selling some off, and that's when he decided to turn it into a business.
Oh, wow.
You got to watch the documentary. I can't do it justice by just telling you.
Yeah, I pulled it up. I'm looking at the clips. They said it's got like Kiefer Sutherland and Jeff Daniels, I guess, are talking about. Apparently they go there. But, yeah, this looks pretty interesting. I'm going to have to check this out.
Oh, yeah. His clientele, Slash is in there. Tom Petty was in there. George Harrison. I mean, this guy started in the early 70s, late 60s, whatever, doing this.
Oh, okay. Wow, that's very cool. Yeah. I may have to check that out. Well, thank you for the call, Bubba. I appreciate it. And now I've got a new documentary to go watch called it's Norman's Rare Guitars documentary. You can watch it for free on YouTube. So I just pulled it up and I was just looking at the little intro video thing they play at the beginning, I guess. So I'll check that out. Man, there's those guitars. Once again, if you know what you're looking at and you know what you're doing with guitars, yeah, the front looks just like a regular guitar shop, but they haven't got to the back of it yet. That's where the magic happens, and that's where, oh, dude, he's got a ton of guitars, yeah. Man. Oh, now they're starting to show some of the back. Dearly. It almost looks like the Guitar Center, which is saying something when you got your own private shop. Imagine he was an original Guitar Center. So, all right, well, I'm going to check that out. I got a few guitars, but mine are worth nothing. I don't have the kind of income, you say, to purchase those sort of guitars unless I stumble across maybe some deal that somebody doesn't know they have, but I have not done that yet. I know my older brother, he's got a pretty good guitar collection. So anyway, all right. Well, thanks for the call, Bubba. Appreciate it. And you even said something nice about Dr. Fauci. Kind of impressed. Really am. All right, 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. We'll take a break, go do some air guitar. I can do some air guitar right now to this playing. Little Soundgarden. Doing a little Johnny Cash. I'm going to shake that rusty cage and run. Yeah, my voice is not good today. Today's not a good singing day for me. My voice was a little scratchy earlier this week. I made the mistake of doing the show, and instead of drinking water like I normally do, I was drinking a Coke Zero, and that's not good for your voice. And I'm not one of these. Oh, yeah, there's Dave Grohl and Geddy Lee in there, and all these good George Harrison to Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, okay, Eddie Van Halen. Wow. So this guy's had a good location. All right, you're listening to ChrisX Radio. If you want to join us, 281-558-KSEV. We're just getting rolling here in hour number 2.
You're listening to ChrisX Radio. ChrisX Radio, the voice of Texas.
Do you need money? Want to lower your monthly debt? Are you thinking about a cash-out refinance? Hi, it's Kathy from Baker Mortgage. A cash-out refinance can get you back in your comfort zone, and that's what it's all about. A recent client who closed with us had his payment go up about $300, but his monthly outgo was being reduced by $1,200, so giving him a net positive cash flow of $900. It's not about adding debt, but restructuring it in a way that makes sense, and this math totally makes sense. And please don't sweat it if your interest rate is going up a little or if you're extending the term. I can show you by taking a small amount of what you're saving monthly and applying it towards your mortgage, you're going to pay it off just as quickly and you'll be way ahead in the money game, which is where we all want to be, right? Remember, we want to help you, but we're not going to help you over a cliff. Baker Mortgage, 281-313-MOVE, or go directly to bakermortgage.com.
Equal housing lender. License number 263213.
This is Kevin O'Hara with O'Hara & Company Real Estate. At O'Hara & Company Real Estate, we believe in God, family, and country. In the past 50 years, people have been trying to remove all three of those from our thinking. Fight for what you believe in and protect your freedoms before they're all taken away. Don't let anyone infringe on your rights. If you need a real estate company, call O'Hara & Company Real Estate, 281-373-3393, or look us up on the web at o'harare.com. I'm Kevin O'Hara. God bless America, and God bless Texas.
ChrisX here to tell you about Humble Amco transmission and AC specialists. People who know go to Amco. I personally trust Jay Streckfus and Humble Amco with all of my vehicle's needs. With complete car care, they'll take care of all of your auto needs as well. Always a free check engine light inspection, and tell them that ChrisX sent you for a free engine scan. Call Jay today at 281-446-0862. That's 281-446-0862, or online at humbleamco.com.
KSEV and its advertisers want to thank you, the listeners, for all your continued support. Without you supporting our advertisers, there would not be a Voice of Texas. We stand behind our clients, and if you're looking to boost and grow your business, join the great team at KSEV and its loyal audience by calling a member of our sales staff at 281-588-4800. That's 281-588-4800. KSEV, loyal listeners and dependable advertisers are the Voice of Texas.
The Fauci farce in a Senate hearing. The revelations that Beijing Biden committed several felonies in his illegal possession and dissemination of classified information over several decades. And because the GOP majority hasn't brought any of these folks to account, voter enthusiasm for the Republican Party is very low. To add insult to injury, John Cornyn going all out to oppose President Trump and not Democrat socialists. Talk about it all coming up at the Chris Salcedo Show. See you at 7 after the press box on the Voice of Texas.
And now, back to ChrisX Radio. ChrisX Radio on the Voice of Texas.
A little bit of delight with Bootsy Collins. I can't remember what the singer's name is. She's kind of a crazy lefty weirdo. She was good looking back then. I don't know what she looks like now. But this song was great. Man, it's got Bootsy on bass guitar. Which, by the way, that was a great tip from Bubba about, Norm's vintage guitar shop. I need to go. I'm going to watch that documentary at some point. But you know what he didn't give me? He did not give me one good burger recommendation. Which, by the way, in the past, I imagine he probably has. I probably have forgotten more burger recommendations. All the Trump burgers are gone. They're now like President Burger or something else. I don't even think the one that was in Houston, that one's not a burger. I think it's a pizza joint now. So then the one out in Belleville, which was the one that I went to a few times, was Trump Burger. I think it's President's Burger. And I think it's MAGA Burger down in Kemah, which I don't go to Kemah very often. Only been there about once in the last few years. But Lucas was telling me about Sushi Pop has a good burger. I'm like, man, well, it's Kobe burger. I'm like, oh, okay. I was asking him if it was cooked. He's like, yeah. Okay, that's a good burger suggestion. You generally don't go, I want a good burger. Let's go to a sushi place. You doubt maybe you get one cooked, but that could be good. I always, like I said, in the past, I've always loved, like Beck's Prime is always good. Like I said, Chili's has decent burgers. I'm trying to think of some of the others. Ron's Hamburgers and Chili up in Tomball. They have one out in Magnolia as well. But the one that I usually go to is up there in Tomball. I like their burgers and their chili. They also have the Frito pies. So you don't have to necessarily go to James Coney Island. They're more famous for their Frito pies. But I'll have to admit, the Frito pies that I got from Ron's is a little better because a lot of times it's funny. I like the Frito pies because I don't hardly ever eat them. I mean, I probably eaten 3 in the last 10 years, maybe. But I really like them, except for the fact that the last, 2 of the 3 times that let's say I've eaten them 4 times. 2 of the 3, were at James Coney Island and then once was at Ron's. At the James Coney Island, the Fritos were stale. And that's no good. I don't like stale Fritos, and no matter how much chili you put on them, doesn't really help them. But I do like the Frito pies. Without the onions, I'll take the chili. I don't need that much chili. Every now and then I'll go. What's funny is I'm one of the weird guys that go to James Coney Island, and very seldom do I get hot dogs because I'm not a big hot dog fan. Once in a blue moon, I'll want one, but generally, unless it's at a cookout or something, I'm not big on the hot dogs. But every now and then, I'll go to James Coney Island, and when I do, I usually get the Nolan Ryan Grand Slam sliders, no onions. Those are pretty good. It's Nolan Ryan's own beef stock that he sells or whatever. Those are good. I'll get those, and then I'll get maybe a corn dog. Corn dog, the state fair staple of the world. They're always, anytime a politician goes there, they always snap the worst-looking pics of them trying to eat a corn dog. Of course, with a corn dog, you have to have mustard. You can't eat a corn dog without mustard. In fact, it should be against the law to even attempt to eat a corn dog without mustard. The only person I really would see people eating corn dog without mustard, James Talarico. And he probably eats it from the side. So I'm just saying, what? What'd I say? Anyway, all right, tell you what, we burned this segment because it was short because I went over in the first one. Let's take a short break. We'll come back. If you want to get in, got any good burger recommendations or whatever's on your mind, it is our Friday show on Thursday. We've only got 2 segments remaining. So if you want to get in like Bubba or Chris or what else do we have? I don't even remember Cracker Smoker in Pearland. If you want to get in, 281-558 KSEV, 281-558-5738. I'm ChrisX. We'll be right back.
The resistance is futile. ChrisX Radio. ChrisX Radio. The Three Amigos.
You all are appointment listening. I listen to you every Friday afternoon. Everything stops for you all.
The Three Amigos. Make an appointment every Friday afternoon at 4 on The Voice of Texas.
When it's time to replace a roof, some people put it off until an emergency arises. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. I understand. People tell me it's way too complicated and too expensive.
Our customers tell us they wish they would have done it sooner.
I hear it all the time. Once the roof is replaced, they wonder why they waited so long because it's really not that complicated. We show up on time, we quote you a fair price, we replace most roofs in just 1 day. At Tejas Roofing, we take pride in making the process easy.
The cleanup is phenomenal. People always comment that it looks like we were never there. And now those customers sleep better at night knowing your new roof has been installed correctly.
When you know you need a new roof, don't put it off. Call me now, Deb Tejada at Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304. Estimates are free, 281-251-0304. When you need roofing repairs, a new roof or remodeling, call us at Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
What if you could invest in real estate for pennies on the dollar? Find out how this Saturday at 2 p.m. on the Checka Pro Radio Show, when tax lien certificate expert Ted Thomas reveals one of America's best-kept investment secrets. Tune in this Saturday at 2 p.m.
Plumbing emergencies never happen at a convenient time. Usually they happen on the weekends, holidays, or while you're away on vacation. I'm Richard Sod, president of Nick's Plumbing. When you find yourself facing a plumbing emergency, call the licensed and experienced professionals at Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services. Nick's Plumbing has been Houston's first choice for all your plumbing needs since 1979. Our experts can take your most difficult plumbing issues and fix them fast, fix them right, and usually for less than you'd expect. Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services is the right choice for any plumbing job, from a leaky faucet, whole house repipe, or a complete sewer line replacement. You can count on Nick's Plumbing to do the job right. With over 40 years in business and over 150,000 satisfied customers, Nick's wants to be your plumbing company. Nick's Plumbing offers free estimates and free second opinions. Call Nick's Plumbing and Sewer Services, 713-868-9907, or visit us on the web, nicksplumbing.com.
MPL 38548.
Call Nick's Plumbing today. We're on the way.
From the KSEV Weather Center, tonight the skies will gradually clear and it will be humid with a low of 79. Tomorrow will bring a mix of sun and clouds, resulting in very warm temperatures with a high of 98. Tomorrow night, expect mainly clear skies and continued humidity with a low of 79. As we head into Saturday, the day will be very warm with intervals of sunshine and clouds and a high of 97. With the KSEV Weather Center forecast, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Jason Caterina.
The voice of Texas, the voice of reason. ChrisX Radio. ChrisX Radio.
You know, this is one of the most underrated Deep Purple albums. I think it's called Perfect Strangers. Great songs. Everybody, Deep Purple's always known for Smoke on the Water. I'm like, that's like their worst song. It really is. And from what I was told, that wasn't even supposed to be on their album. So, oh, hey, by the way, let's say Houston area woman pleads guilty to illegally voting in federal elections. But that doesn't happen. Democrats tell us that doesn't happen. A 63-year-old British citizen living in Katy just pled guilty to illegally voting in U.S. elections, including 2020, and lying about being a citizen to register. She voted in 2012, 2016, 2018, 2020, and now 2024. And she's facing up to 6 years in federal prison and a $250,000 fine. But that doesn't happen. Well, okay, it does happen, but it's rare. Oh, Democrats are a menace. Welcome back to the program. I'm the aforementioned X-Man. 281-558-KSEV. It is our Friday show on Thursday, which means we'll discuss whatever you guys want to talk about. So if you can think of a good burger place, let me know, because I'm thinking about getting a burger for dinner. Sometimes I like good burger and fries. Sometimes I like just a burger, no fries. Who am I kidding? I always like fries, but I don't need to eat them all the time. But burgers are good. But hamburgers are good. Cheeseburgers are good. I just don't dig on swine, that's all. 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. Let's go to Don, who's been patiently holding out in Point Blank. Don, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to ChrisX Radio.
Speaking of rare, how about the burgers off the Chuck Schumer's grill where he has rare uncooked burgers and puts cheese right on top of them?
Yeah, that's the real way. When you're a real griller, when you know how to really make burgers, you throw that cheese on top of it before it's even cooked. So then that way it gets really good and mixed in with with the photo op.
That's a Yankee burger, I guess. I don't know what you'd call it.
I think you may be right. I'm not going to take any burger recommendations from Schmuck Schumer. That's for darn sure.
Well, what I called about, Marsha Blackburn, senator from Tennessee, she was complaining about this list. You might have seen it, the 10 worst states in America. And what it tells me, of course, is the criteria that these liberals use to say what's a good state and a bad state. You know, a good state's one that's got high taxes and abortion freedom and real favorable for LGBTQ, forever, whatever that is. But she was complaining, number one on the list, the worst state was Tennessee, and number two was Texas. And I'm from Oklahoma originally. They were number 9 on the list. But I wrote on the internet, discussing on that. I said, why is Texas number 2? Check U-Haul. Why are all the U-Hauls coming full from California to Texas, and they have to pay people to take them empty back to California? I don't know what if all the worst states in America are red, why is everybody moving to them?
It's kind of funny the way the Democrats define things. And as you said, their basis for the article on one of the worst states were, once again, worst states for liberals, maybe. But the reality is it's actually better for them, as you pointed out, because if you go look at the numbers, more people are coming to Texas than anywhere else in the world or anywhere else in the country. And there are more people are moving to the Dallas-Fort Worth area now than anywhere else in the state. But they're still moving to San Antonio, Austin, Houston. Once again, we're getting flooded from people from these other states. And oddly enough, they're all coming from these blue states that are quote-unquote, supposedly better. No, we have seen the states that are run by Democrats are the ones with the most crime and the most corruption. You notice whenever they do the lists on crime and corruption, what states and what cities top those lists? The ones that are run by Democrats, because it's based on actual statistics instead of garbage that the Democrats espouse. So, yeah, I 100% right there with you, Don.
Yeah, well, I will say it's true. Like, I think in Tennessee, Memphis is a terrible crime city, but they're run by a Democrat, I believe.
Yeah.
They're mayor.
Houston. Well, we're number 2 on the crime list, and that's Houston. And then St. Louis, Missouri. I know who runs that. San Francisco, California. Okay. Kansas City, Missouri. I have a pretty good idea. Albuquerque, New Mexico. Okay. Oakland, California. Okay. Nashville, Tennessee. I don't know. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and Detroit, Michigan. Those are the top 10. From what I can tell, all, with the exception of maybe one, are all run by Democrats.
Yeah. Speaking of the top 2 worst states, supposedly, who is the only man to be the governor of 2 different states?
I don't know that answer.
Sam Houston.
What's funny is I thought about saying Sam Houston, but I didn't remember him being the governor of 2 different states. What state? I know obviously he was the governor here in Texas, but what was the other state?
Tennessee.
Oh, that's right. See, you're a wealth of history, Don. That about say, anytime I need history, I need to just call you is what I need to do.
But anyway, so there's no reason to get upset when they say you're in a terrible state because.
Well, as always, would you point out, Don, is who's doing the survey? And this was just the worst cities from Smart Asset, which was once again looking at the crime statistics and the risk for traffic deaths and crimes and you name it, all that stuff. By the way, before I let you go, Don, no, you may not have one, but if I remember correctly, you're bound to know maybe a good burger place or two. You got any good burger suggestions for me this evening?
Well, there's not a lot up here. You mentioned one that's pretty good there in Huntsville. Chili's is pretty good.
Okay.
They don't. I don't know of any particular one other than Chuck Schumer's Grill, but I just don't. Oh, they got a good. Well, it's not that great. There's a big motorcycle place here. It's pretty well known.
Oh, okay.
Hilltop
What place is that one? Is it
Ice House? A lot of
is it like
motorcyclists hanging out there all the time right here on the 190.
Oh, okay. It's like a biker joint, but they serve burgers there?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I may have to look that up. I don't know. I don't know if I want bikers to go along with my burger. That can be a little scary sometimes. So thanks for the call, Don. Good to hear from you. Appreciate the history lesson. I can't believe I was leaning towards Sam Houston. I should have known that one. Because I forget Tennessee, and then, of course, here in Texas. And if I'm not mistaken, wasn't he a president of Texas, too? That guy, he's got a pretty esteemed background. And he's holding his damn cane with the wrong arm on his big statue up there on 45. All right, 281-558-KSEV. Let's get another caller in before we have to break. It is our Friday show on Thursday. We got the remainder of this segment and one more, and then we're out of time. Let's go to, looks like El Marco. He may have a good burger suggestion. Hey, Marco, thank you for hanging on. Welcome to ChrisX Radio. Uh-oh. Do we have Marco? Did we lose him?
Hello? Hello?
Okay. We got you, Marco. Go right ahead.
Oh, yeah. Hey, when you're talking about burger places, and I don't know if you're specifically in a certain area and you're asking about it, but a couple weeks ago I saw the listing of the top 10 burger joints as rated. And again, I don't have the article in front of me now, but if you try and look it up, it should be there somewhere because I don't even know who based it on. But when we looked at it, we sort of questioned some of the burger places that were on and some of that weren't. But if from what my wife told me, the number one tasting burger, and again, I guess they were saying burgers that are considered per se fast food and not where it's sit-down burgers, which I guess they consider, for instance, Papa's Burgers to be a sit-down place and not necessarily to-go place or fast food like the others. But Culver's was rated number one for to-go burgers.
Okay.
That's the buttered bun hamburgers that they make. And so
I've seen the
ones that
Culver's
you might have
around, but
otherwise saw.
I've never been to a Culver's. I've seen them around, but there's not one. You know what? I need to look it up and actually do some research. I don't know if there's one near me, but I need to go try Culver's because I always forget about that place because I've never been there. But so it's a good drive-through place to grab a burger. All right, did you have another one you mentioned on there?
Well, no, that was just the one off the top of my head. I wish I would have had time to pull up when I heard what you were talking about, but I'm driving now, so I couldn't look up that list. But if you have a minute at some point after the show or something like that, I think it's still posting somewhere. I sent it to my wife after she told me that because she thought I hadn't eaten Culver's myself either, but she did, and she said it was okay, but no way was it top one, not number one. She still considers Whataburger number one for her for as far as fast food burgers.
I agree with
and
you on
obviously Papa's Burgers for when it's the sit-down hamburgers. So.
Oh yeah, I went to Papa's Burger a few weeks ago, and that is still their burgers taste the same they did 20 years ago. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
And once again, they're expensive. They're not cheap anymore, but man, they're so good. And I agree with her 100%. Apparently, we're come from the same line of taste buds because I agree with the fast food burgers. I think Whataburger is probably the best. And then, like I said, and of course, you can throw the Burger King, McDonald's, and Wendy's all sort of in the same, barrel. And I don't know if how Culver's stacks up with them, but I'm 100% in agreement. Papa's Burger, that's sort of the gold standard in my book. And then maybe a step down from that is the, Beck's Prime. So, but there, like I said, I'm always looking to try new burgers.
You're right.
Well, all right.
Well, anyway, let's touch base again. Let's touch base again once you've had a chance and I've had a chance to eat Culver's, and tell me where you think it stacks up again based on fast food hamburgers. Okay,
we'll do that. Thank you for the call, Marco. Always good to hear from you. I appreciate it. And the only thing is, you forced me now to actually have to type in. I got to slave away over a keyboard and type in the Google machine, best burgers, and then actually do some research instead of you guys doing all the work for me. It almost as though sounds like I'm lazy. Almost. All right, let's take a break. We'll come back, wrap up today's show. If you got any good burger suggestions or you want to talk about whatever, it is our Friday show on Thursday. And then we're done. We're going to turn everything over to the Amigos tomorrow. I should ask El Senador. He knows good burgers. I know there's a good burger right over there by the station. Can never remember the name of the place, but it's right over there. Is it off Kirkwood? I think it's off Kirkwood and I-10. It's kind of like a cafeteria, but they got good burgers there. Anyway, all right, 281-558-KSEV, 281-558-5738. I'm Chris X. We'll come back, wrap up today's show, and then we'll turn it over to the Amigos tomorrow. We'll be back on Monday, God willing, but not until after we wrap things up in the next segment. We'll be right back.
You're listening to ChrisX Radio. ChrisX Radio on the voice of Texas.
Finding a reputable business shouldn't require luck or chance. But how can you tell who you can trust? Always look for the sign of a better business and find a better business anytime at bbb.org.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
We got a call late New Year's Eve. A father with big plans for his family the next day said his garage door spring just snapped. He couldn't get his car out and wouldn't be able to get his family to where they needed to go. He felt stuck and alone. So we showed up fast with the right spring and the right parts to fix it right. We didn't talk about the price. We didn't wait till the morning. We fixed it right then. Because at Garage Door Doctor, it's never just about the job. It's about the person behind it. The dad, the veteran, the grandpa, the neighbor. Hi, I'm Tommy Mello, owner of Garage Door Doctor. When you need help, we're the ones that show up. Call Garage Door Doctor today or schedule online at garagedoordoctor.biz. We fix garage doors fast with quality parts designed to last a lifetime because we're proud to serve the people who rely on us.
When it comes to garage doors, no one knows more than the doctor. Garage Door Doctor.
Checo Pro Joe here. Join me this Saturday at 11 a.m. when Andrew from A&H M Pro Generators discusses whole home standby generators and the peace of mind they bring. That's this Saturday at 11, right here on AM 700 KSEV, the voice of Texas.
Hey, y'all, it's Craig Collins. I wanted to let you know that my show airs every afternoon on KSEV from 6 to 7 p.m. I also wanted to encourage you to follow our social media pages. We are now live streaming most of our local content on KSEV Radio's YouTube, Rumble, and Twitter pages, as well as some of our select shows on KSEV Radio's Facebook page. Once again, please follow us at KSEV Radio on YouTube, Rumble, and X. And please follow me at Radio Craig C on X and on Facebook.
If you have roof problems, you can sure see them when it rains. This is Deb Tejada from Tejas Roofing. If you see a leak, call me immediately, 281-251-0304. I'll send over the Tejas Roof Repair truck.
That truck has everything our experienced crew needs to fix your roof, right then and there.
The Tejas Roofing crew has been working together fixing leaky roofs for 15 years.
It's not a pretty truck, but it has everything we need to get the job done. I kind of like the way it looks.
Most roofing repairs cost less than $500. Why? Because we find the cause of the leak and repair that leak. We won't try to sell you services you don't need.
And we'll fix it right away because everything we need is in our truck.
Don't put off fixing a leaky roof. Call me at Tejas Roofing and I'll send over the truck. 281-251-0304. When you think of roofing repairs or a new roof, think Tejas Roofing, your Houston roofing company. 281-251-0304. That's Tejas Roofing, 281-251-0304.
ChrisX Radio.
Daniel Marco had some good suggestions. Culver's, I looked it up. Man, there's none near me. So I have to drive. I'd be ready for a road trip to go try Culver's, which one of these days I'm going to. I'm going to have to try it out. But also I forgot about Hop Dottie. There's a Hop Dottie over, I think there's still one in Vintage Park. There's one over there in Town Lake, I guess. Hat Creek Burger Company. I've been to Hat Creek before. Hat Creek was okay. I wouldn't say it was great. Anyway, welcome back to ChrisX Radio. You reached the final segment of today's program. Now, tomorrow we are off. That's why we do our Friday show on Thursday, because the Amigos take over tomorrow from 4 to 6. That would be El Senador, the Judge, and a Strew with a View, Bat and Cleanup. They take over the airways every Friday from 4 to 6. So make an appointment to tune in and check out the Amigos, and there you go. So you got your dose of the Amigos every Friday, and then we pave the road, as El Senador likes to say, for the Amigos Monday through Thursday here on ChrisX Radio. So that's how we do things. And we'll wrap things up here at 6, and then we'll be back, God willing. I guess if I don't eat too many burgers over the weekend, I don't know. If given the opportunity, I mean, I could eat a diet that mainly consists of burgers, but I would probably be even heavier than I am now. By the way, it looks like, well, let's go to El Marco again before we run out of time. I don't think he even got a chance to say what he actually wanted to talk about. El Marco, do we got you back on the program?
Hey, thanks, Chris. Yeah, and I don't know if you can do this or not, but or to say it on the air, but my daughter, she runs a dance studio, and she's also a choreographer, and her dance has been nominated for the Industry Dance Awards Top Dance for Modern Choreography. Wow. And if anyone can do it, voting is through the end of tomorrow, but they just have to go on to the Industry Dance Awards website. Our dance studio's name is Artistry in Motion, and the name of the dance is Assimilated. But it's like I said, it's like the comparable to the Academy Awards, but it's for dancing. It's the Industry Dance Awards, and she's awesome choreographer. I love her. And it's the judges make the initial selection of the final, 5 or 6 dances throughout the country as they've seen them perform it at various competitions throughout the country. They make that initial selection, but then the final selection is based just on audience polls. And we have a small studio, so the odds are sort of stacked against us because of that.
Oh, man. All right, well, tell everybody once again where they can go to vote and what to vote for. Say it again.
Thanks a lot, Chris. I appreciate it. It's the Industry Dance Award website. Look under 2026 nominees, and they have various categories for different types of dance, like jazz, tap, whatever. Her category is lyrical, contemporary, modern, and the dance is called Assimilated, and our dance studio's Artistry in Motion.
All right, very cool. Well, you just did it. Hopefully we'll get some votes. You're welcome, Marco. I appreciate it. Appreciate the call. And like I said, you gave me some ideas to go have burgers, and I imagine we'll get more in the future. So that's the least we can do on our Friday show on Thursday. We absolutely can recognize that. So hopefully everybody gets out there, gets on the web, and goes. And that's. I know it's primarily female. I know there are men that get out and dance too, but like I said, it's a female thing for the generally. But if you're a good choreographer and you dance and you got a studio, man, that's a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of effort. And those ladies are really talented. So if you want to go help them out, try to get them an award, I'd like to see them win. That would be cool. It's tough when you're a small studio. So the big ones get all the big press and all the big PR and all that. So if you want to go help them out, go ahead and do that. All right, let's wrap up today's show here before we run out of time. We mentioned Houston is the second least safe city in the U.S. among cities with residents of 250,000. We talked about Trump saying we're going to find out if the Majority Leader Thune should remain in his role on whether or not the Save America Act can get passed or Reconciliation 3.0 so it can get through. Now, if he goes through reconciliation, all we need is 50 votes. Now, John Thune seems to believe that we're going to have trouble getting 50. I think if we whipped them up pretty good, we could probably get 50. And then, of course, we got J.D. Vance. For the tiebreaker, you don't need the 60. There is no filibuster on reconciliation. So we'll see if we can get the Save America Act passed that way. Plus, that's what the NDAA bill, I think that's what it's tacked on to. So we can get that done, get it, where you don't have to deal with the filibuster. I think that would be good. It'll be interesting to see what kind of response we get on vote to hold Anthony Fauci in contempt after he came on and repeatedly invoked the Fifth Amendment yesterday. I mean, it was ridiculous. And Josh Hawley called him out, just nailed it. All you did was get rich off the COVID. All you did was get rich and added to your fame, and that's all you cared about. And anyone who questioned you, oh, man, you wanted them ruined and destroyed. And that's what it was. Okay, so the final thing here, I guess, before we run out of time, Representative Brandon Gill mocked James Talarico over his resurfaced Twitter post celebrating Dr. Fauci, his action figure. Apparently he got one for Christmas. Now, Brandon Gill pointed to a December 2021 post from Talarico, who was just a state rep back then. He had shown off a masked figure he got as a Christmas gift with the words saying, "Do you think James Talarico still plays with his Fauci action figure?" That's what Gill wrote on X. In the post, Talarico wrote, "Let's help by getting vaxxed and boosted." Well, actually, before he said that, he was like, "I got the coolest action figure for Christmas. Thank you to all the healthcare superheroes working today, except the ones they fired for not taking the vax. But whatever, but all the rest of you guys are heroes, not the ones that were helping people." Senator Ted Cruz got in on the action. He tied the old post to the modern-day Anthony Fauci, his refusal to answer lawmakers. He said, "James Talarico called Fauci a superhero today. Fauci took the fifth 111 times. Apparently, accountability was sold separately." Now, realize Talarico is a former middle school teacher, and he's some kind of Presbyterian seminarian. I don't know what kind of Presbyterian wants Jesus trans in the kids and all of the hates Christianity and all of the weird things he has said. But he had a separate video that came out earlier this month, I guess, that described legislation restricting gender-affirming care is what they call it. That's actually gender mutilation for children, making them, imitate the opposite sex, which is a terrible, terrible thing for children not old enough to make decisions for themselves. But he called that anything against that is a Christo-fascism movement. Yeah, let's vote that guy in Texas. That'd be great.